Kamala Harris hates Christmas. Who knew? Who knew that Kamala Harris was the Grinch who stole Christmas? She is not a fan of Christmas. And it's not for the regular reasons you might expect. It's not because of the left's war on Christmas or because they hate Christianity and they're trying to, abolish Catholicism and that kind of stuff. No, it has nothing to do with the typical reasons that Democrats don't like Christmas. This is a new and very bizarre reason that Kamala Harris doesn't like Christmas. And it's all part of a clip that surfaced on the internet yesterday. God, I love the internet. I love the internet so much because the internet never forgets. Kids, it's like your parents tell you when you're about to post something on the internet, they go, just remember, if you post it online, it's never deleted. It's there forever. Someone should tell that to Kamala Harris because she said this.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we? And she said it about illegal immigrant children at the border.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
There's more of that clip. Hang on, I think it's this one. Oh, no, maybe it's not. There's a longer part of that clip. Let me get the full clip here because basically what she said was that she said we should not be celebrating Christmas as a culture. You know why? Because there are people out there, immigrant children. Here it is.
And when we all sing happy tunes and sing Merry Christmas and wish each other Merry Christmas, these children are not going to have a Merry Christmas. How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Yeah, so the immigrant children at the border aren't going to have a Merry Christmas, and as a result, Kamala Harris doesn't want anyone saying Merry Christmas or singing songs. And if you do, how dare you? How dare all of us? That is inappropriate at Christmas time, which is odd for a couple of reasons. Number one, Kamala Harris is the border czar. So if the immigrant children at the border are not having a Merry Christmas, it's her fault. And then she's the one that took Christmas away from them. It was her job. She was the one that was supposed to be digging into and solving the root problem of this illegal immigrant migration. She was the one that was supposed to make sure that the border was secure and that these kids were cared for and that they got all their health care and everything else. She was the one that was supposed to mitigate the issues with illegal immigration so that these kids wouldn't be spending Christmas, I don't know, in one of Barack Obama's cages at the border. Who knows what they're doing? But she said, number one, these kids are not having a Merry Christmas. How dare we speak of it? It's your fault, lady. You're the border czar. No matter how much the media tries to make everybody forget that, you are the border czar. You are, you always will be. And this border crisis rests firmly on your shoulders. That's the first reason. The second reason is, has this woman never seen or heard or read Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas? This is the first thing I thought of, is that Christmas has nothing to do, as we know, with the packages and the bangles and the hoo hash and the roast beast. It has nothing to do with the half-doozers and the kerplunkers and all those other toys that the kids are getting. It has nothing to do with the Christmas tree or the candy canes or anything at all. Because the Grinch went down to Whoville and he stole all that crap and he put it on the thing and he went up to the tip top of Mount Crumpet to dump it. And when he got to the tip top of Mount Crumpet to dump it, that's when his heart grew because he heard the Who's doing what? Singing? That's right. The Who's down in Whoville, the tall and the small, they walked outside and they just didn't give the fact that they didn't give the fact that they had no presents, didn't give it a single thought. They grabbed hands with each other and they said, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. And then they started singing. And as a result, the Grinch heard it. His heart grew. Spoiler alert. If you haven't read it yet, like Kamala, his heart grew 3 sizes and he brought all the stuff back. And then the Grinch himself, carved the first slice of roast beast. So it was a big happy ending. But Kamala Harris doesn't think that. She thinks that Christmas is all about the fruitcake and the presents and the whatnot. So she wants you to know you shouldn't say Merry Christmas because there's illegal immigrant children out there who can't celebrate. Fun fact, you can celebrate Christmas no matter what. People in prison celebrate Christmas. Hell, the first Christmas was celebrated in a barn. I don't know if she knows that. But Mary and Joseph, they didn't have any gifts. They didn't have any presents. They didn't even have a room. They were sleeping among animals and they put their child, their newborn baby, in a food trough. Yet Kamala Harris says, how dare we?
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
That's the woman who wants to be president of the United States. Oh, scratch that. That's the woman who believes she already is president of the United States. This is a little bit of Hillary, a little bit of Hillary Clinton for you. Hillary Clinton, she believed she was president. She believed she was coronated. She believed she was chosen. And before the election even happened, she was walking around like she owned the joint, man. She was already making choices to decorate the Oval Office in the way she wants. She was picking out pantsuits for the inauguration. She had it all planned out. She was picking fabrics and rugs and hanging curtains and all that kind of measuring for drapes, all that stuff. And Kamala Harris is a little bit of the same way. Yesterday at the service, there was a memorial service for Representative Sheila Jackson Lee in Texas, who passed away. And apparently it was a fun time because everyone was like cheering and laughing, and Kamala was joking around, and she accidentally referred to herself as president.
As a United States Senator, I was proud to co-sponsor, and then as Vice President, it was my honor with the President.
And the crowd cheered because they like Kamala better than they like Joe. I don't even. They're like, yeah, be president, Kamala, because we're sick and tired of. She actually, I mean, Freudian slip, whatever you want to call it, but she thought to herself, you know what? She's standing up there talking to people. She doesn't even have the nomination yet. Let me take this hat off because it's starting to sweat. She doesn't even have the nomination yet. But Kamala Harris, who's still waiting for the convention, still hasn't picked a VP. She has already ordained herself president of the United States, and she did so yesterday at Sheila Jackson Lee's memorial service.
As a United States Senator, I was proud to co-sponsor, and then as Vice President, it was my honor with the President.
Yeah, don't forget old Joe. Don't forget. In fact, a lot of people are forgetting old Joe. Joe Biden yesterday at the airport, he was talking to reporters or somebody, but he wanted to remind everybody, look, it's not Kamala yet. All right, she's not the president. You still got me. Listen to this.
As a United States Senator, I was proud to co-sponsor, and then as Vice President, it was my.
Hold on, that's the same clip. Here's Joe Biden. Listen carefully at the airport.
You're stuck with me as president for a while, kid. There's no way out, okay? You got me for at least another 100 or 90 days or so.
How creepy is that guy? You're stuck with me with president. There's no way out. It's like a horror movie. It's like Joe Biden's final 90 days as president are the biggest horror movie. You're stuck with me, kid. There's no way out. It's literally what he said.
There's no way out.
I mean, look at that. He looks like he's a mass murderer from a horror film. He's got the big toothy grin. He's got that zombie-like demeanor. He's slowly moving toward you, and he's going, there's no way out.
There's no way out.
I mean, that's even creepier than telling that little girl the other day, no, dudes, till you're 30. I mean, this is Joe Biden. Hey, guys, I'm still around. 90 more days. You're stuck with me. There's no way out. I don't care what Kamala says. I don't care if Kamala thinks she is president, but she's not. You're stuck with me. There's no way out.
There's no way out.
Yeah, I got shivers. Kamala Harris, by the way, made her first remarks. Now, these weren't questions. She wasn't taking it. She didn't do a press conference. She still hasn't done that. Probably will not. And the media really, if the media wants to do their job, if the media wants to be taken seriously, if the media wants people to know, hey, we're actually not just mouthpieces for the Democrat Party. If the media wants to pretend, hey, you know what? We are actually a fair arbiters of the truth. If they want that to happen, then they need to pressure Kamala Harris to speak. They need to have her do a press conference. They need to start scheduling interviews. They need to, I mean, it's to her benefit, I believe, if she waits to the debate, because we know she's going to debate. She's all hype on the debate. She's been trying to get Donald Trump to debate. Donald Trump finally agreed. Yeah, all fine. Let's put our records up next to each other. We're going to debate. There will be a debate in September. If she waits to the debate to go out there and start speaking extemporaneously, I feel like that's going to be worse for her. I feel like she needs some practice, man, doesn't she? These questions that are going to be posed to her by the moderators, I mean, let's be honest, she'll probably have them beforehand. That's how the Democrats, they get all the questions beforehand. Kamala Harris, she's going to know exactly what the questions are. She's going to have her pre-planned answers. And the only thing that is going to stump her up is the rebuttals, the retorts, the responses, because she's not going to be able to respond off the cuff. And we know that because yesterday she made some off-the-cuff remarks about the hostages that were freed. Although what you don't see is before she approached Joe Biden in the airplane to make these off the cuff, and I'm doing air quotes, really big. You can probably tell by the way it's off the cuff remarks. She sat in the car for like 30 minutes. She sat in the car for 30 minutes trying to remember what to say, and then she messed it up anyway.
This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy and strengthening alliances. This is an incredible day.
The strength that rests in understanding the strength of I'm sorry, I have to hear that. I didn't get it the first time, much like most of the things Kamala says, but I definitely want to make sure that I understand this. So bear with me while I play it one more time.
This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy and strengthening alliances. This is an incredible day.
That's why she doesn't have a press conference. That's why she's not doing any sit-down interviews. That's why she's not taking questions from the media on the tarmac. It's important to have a president who understands the strength of the understanding of diplomacy, and it's just a fantastic day. It's that is vintage Kamala. That is true Kamala. That is the Kamala that we all know and dislike so much.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Interesting news. Recent focus groups conducted by the super PAC Republican voters against Trump found that swing voters don't like Harris. And focus groups conducted by the Democratic National Committee also found Harris rubs some people the wrong way.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
So Kamala Harris is disliked by swing state voters, and that was a pro-Trump super PAC and also the Democrat Party who got that information. Kamala Harris rubs swing state voters the wrong way. Guess who the most important voters in this election are? Fun fact, it's the swing state voters. It's the swing state voters in places like Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, places like North Carolina, places like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Those are the people that Kamala Harris needs to win over, and those are the people who back in April didn't like her. She rubbed them the wrong way. Do you think that she's making any waves with swing state voters when they see this?
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
I'm no swing state voter, but I would say that as a swing state voter, I don't want some angry Karen out there berating me because I said Merry Christmas while some illegal immigrant child is in a border detention center because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden didn't do their job by securing the border. That's not the kind of person I think I want to give my vote to. Again, I'm not a swing state voter, so I can't really speak to the thoughts and minds of swing state voters. I do know, however, that Kamala Harris has been derelict in her duty. And when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter how many TikTok dances or brat summer posts she makes. It doesn't matter which celebrity endorses her or how many twerking concerts she has with Megan Thee Stallion or any other. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. All that matters to people is A, do they feel safe? And B, do they have money? Do they feel safe and do they have money? And J.D. Vance, who is running with Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, senator from Ohio, he's made his way down to the border. He went with Bianca Della Garza from Newsmax. I have to text her, by the way, because I was hanging out with her all at the convention last week. I said to my wife, I go, oh, she's on the plane with J.D. Vance. She's at the border with J.D. Vance. They're like just buds. So I'm going to text her and see if we can get her on the show next week and talk a little bit about her trip with J.D. Vance. But she was down there with him at the border, and he was doing press conferences, and he was taking questions, unlike Kamala Harris does, off-the-cuff responses. And here's what he said about how safe people feel with Kamala Harris in charge.
They started their administration. Kamala Harris came into office making promises, and she kept those promises to open the American southern border. They stopped deportations on day one. They stopped construction of the border wall on day one. We see the border wall sitting here, ready to be completed behind us, and that can't happen because of Kamala Harris's administration. They reinstated catch and release, and they stopped remain in Mexico. So all of these asylum claimants who come to our border, they can now get released into our country because they're not forced to stay in Mexico while we adjudicate their asylum claims. And we have to remember that as terrible and idiotic as these policies were, they cause real human beings to suffer.
And that is the key statement. Real human beings, real Americans are being caused to suffer. Real human beings, real Americans are being caused to suffer by Joe Biden's administration and his policies, which in turn is Kamala Harris's administration and her policies. The Democrat policies, the far left lunatic socialist liberal policies that have just been running rampant in this country for the past 4 years, and then 8 years with Barack Obama before Donald Trump, those policies are destroying this country. They're destroying people's safety. They're creating a massive crime wave, and J.D. Vance and Donald Trump and the rest of the Republicans are out there reminding people of it. The most important reasons, and I say this all the time, when you go to vote, if you're trying to figure out who should I vote for? Should I vote for Kamala Harris?
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
I mean, the simple answer is absolutely not. But no, or should I vote for Donald Trump? You got to remember two things. Number one, do you feel safe? Do you feel safe in this country? Do you feel safer than you did under Donald Trump? Do you feel like you're not going to be the victim of a violent crime? Do you feel like crime isn't just seeping into your suburban neighborhood? Do you feel like you can go shopping and not have to worry about a gang of angry shoplifters coming in and ransacking the store you're in because they know that the prosecutors and the police won't even arrest you or charge you if you steal less than $1,000 worth of Louis Vuitton bags or I don't know what, I don't think there's Louis Vuitton bags less than, there's like a wallet. You can go into Louis Vuitton and steal a wallet that's less than $900, maybe a scarf, maybe a pair of those swanky Louis Vuitton flip-flops that are all the rage, but it doesn't matter. If it's less than $1,000, the cops won't even hunt you down. And that's why that's why there's crime sprees. Do you feel like if you're in a big city like Chicago or San Francisco or LA or Portland or even in Texas, places like Austin, do you feel safer? Do you look around at the homeless problem or the drug problems and you go, man, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have been doing a bang-up job. If you're in New York City and you're trying to book yourself into the Roosevelt Hotel, but you can't because it's being used as a migrant shelter paid for by your tax dollars, I might point out. If that's you, then maybe you don't feel that safe. And that's why people vote. They vote because they want to stay alive. They don't want terrorists coming into this country and killing them. Do you feel like there's maybe more terrorists here because the border's been open? Do you feel like maybe there's some bad actors out there who are just ready to blow us up or shoot us up or destroy us and kill us just because of who we are and what we believe? Do you think that maybe they could have come across the southern border while Kamala Harris and Joe Biden left it wide open? The simple answer is, yeah, that probably happened. Most likely you are targeted, or we are more targeted by evildoers in this country, and they have more access to you and your family and your property and your life than ever before because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's open border policies. That's one of the... Oh, and drugs, too. J.D. Vance talked about drugs, too.
A lot of you know my story, and I have been a little kid waiting at the bedside of his mother, angry that his mom took something that she shouldn't have taken, but praying to God, please, Jesus, let her wake up. And the unfortunate truth is because of the poison that Kamala Harris has let come into this country, there are a lot of those prayers that won't be answered. There are a lot of parents that won't wake up because when you take fentanyl, you don't wake up. It takes your life. So there are a lot of kids out there who have been deprived of second chances with their moms and dads. There are a lot of moms and dads out there who will never see their kids walk down the aisle because of what Kamala Harris has unleashed at this border.
Yeah, and also don't forget about the drugs and the fentanyl. And you could be taking one thing, but all of a sudden you're taking something else. You could be thinking you're just drinking a drink that somebody made you, but it's laced with fentanyl, and the next thing you know, you're dead. And you're not walking down the aisle, and your parents are very sad because you're not waking up. These are all serious concerns. These are all serious concerns that J.D. Vance is bringing up. And at the same time, voters have to weigh whether or not this is something that's going to sway their opinion. Are they going to vote for Kamala Harris because she's going to protect your right to get an abortion, or she likes drag queens, she's on RuPaul's Drag Race. She's the choice of the LGBTQ plus IA community. All the drag queens love Kamala Harris. Is that important to you? Or is it important that you and your family stay alive? I would think that you and your family staying alive would be the number one most important thing. And then you can worry about, the drag queens and all that other kind of stuff. Incidentally, CNN doesn't care about any of that. CNN's at the border with JD Vance, and they're asking him ridiculous questions. You know what they're asking him about? You can probably guess. If you haven't already guessed, they're asking him about Donald Trump's comments at the NABJ, the National Association of Black Journalists. They're asking him, what do you think about Donald Trump's comments about Kamala Harris changing her race for political convenience? JD Vance, thankfully, had an answer ready to go, and it was a pretty gosh darn good one.
The former president's comments yesterday to the National Association of Black Journalists, where he said that Vice President Harris is, quote, all of a sudden black. As a father of 3 biracial children, did those comments give you pause at all?
They don't give me pause at all. Look, all he said is that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. She goes to Georgia 2 days ago. She was raised in Canada. She puts on a fake Southern accent. She is everything to everybody, and she pretends to be somebody different depending on which audience she's in front of. I think it's totally reasonable for the president to call that out, and that's all he did. I mean, look, she's running as a tough on crime prosecutor, even though she implemented open border policies. She's saying that she wants to support the police, yet she wanted to defund the police just 3 years ago. It's totally reasonable to call out the fact that she pretends to be somebody different depending on the audience she's talking to.
Chameleon. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Also, I need to stop singing that because I'll probably get a copyright. I'll probably get flagged. Do you get flagged for copyright if you sing something poorly? I don't know. You come and go, you flip and fly. I don't know. But that's basically the gist of it. It's not the fact that one day she's Indian and one day she's a black person. That's not it. The fact that she took a turn, and then all of a sudden she was a black person. That's not what it is at all. It's that she's altering her identity based on the person that she's speaking with. She's altering her identity based on the audience she's pandering to. She's altering her identity to try to convince people that she has their best interests at heart. And when you have to change your identity to convince somebody that you are somebody you're not, then you're not really being honest with anybody. And who wants another dishonest president? We've had plenty of those. Donald Trump is the same everywhere he goes. I always hear people say, why does he have to say that? Why does he have to be that way? Why is he so gruff? Why does he call names? Yada, yada, yada. Because Donald Trump is not changing who he is for anybody. Donald Trump is not pandering to anybody. Donald Trump is himself. There's one Trump, and if you've been to a rally, or if you've seen him on television, or if you've heard him speak, or if you've watched him when he was president for 4 years, or if you've watched him campaign for the last 4 years, or if you watched The Apprentice or any of those other shows, there's one Donald Trump, and you always know what you're going to get because he does not change his personality because it's politically appropriate or because it's helpful to him in trying to get people to vote for him. He will tell you the same exact thing over and over and over again, and he doesn't care what room he's in. He doesn't care what audience he's in front of. If you like him, great. If you like what he says, fantastic. If you don't like him, at least you're probably going to like what he says because he's going to keep you safe. Oh, and the other thing is he's going to keep some money in your pocket. But all CNN cares about is whether or not he's a racist. Does he say things that are offensive, like one day she's an Indian and then she took a turn and became a black person? You know who cares about that? The Democrats. Identity politics is the name of the game with the Democrats. In fact, Karine Jean-Pierre, God love her, Karine Jean-Pierre brought it up again in the White House briefing room.
Real leaders do not tear people down. They don't question someone's identity.
Okay, I want to make sure you heard that. That's Karine Jean-Pierre, White House press secretary for the Joe Biden administration, basically throwing her own boss under the bus. That's Karine Jean-Pierre, White House press secretary for the Biden administration, basically saying her boss, Joe Biden, is not a real leader.
Real leaders do not tear people down. They don't question someone's identity.
Okay. Real leaders don't tear people down, and they don't question somebody's identity.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
I don't know. That sounds a lot like Joe Biden questioning somebody's identity.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Luckily, we only have 90 more days with Joe Biden.
There's no way out.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? If I were Joe Biden, I wouldn't say that too loud because I think they could find They found a way to get him off of the ballot. I think they could find a way to get him out of the White House if they really wanted to. If they really wanted to. So you got Joe Biden, you got Corinne Jean-Pierre, you've got Kamala Harris, and they're all running around trying to convince you once again that Donald Trump is a racist, when the real issue is who's going to keep you safer and who's going to keep you richer. You know, these polls, these opinion polls that are popping up, everyone's saying Kamala Harris is biting into Donald Trump's lead. Kamala Harris is erasing his swing state lead. Look at how popular Kamala Harris is. Oh, the betting markets are now picking Kamala Harris. Joe Rogan said Kamala Harris could win this thing. Joe Rogan is calling Kamala Harris the winner of the election a good 3 months, a good 95 days before election day. And all of a sudden, people are all freaking out. Here's what I want you to realize. There's only one poll that really will tell you what the American public is thinking. There's only one poll that will tell you whether or not people have confidence in a candidate or not. And that is the economy. And this is Fox Business News reporting this morning about the economy.
The markets are no longer worried about inflation. Instead, they are becoming worried about the possibility of a recession.
Look at that. The markets are now worried about a recession. We are on the brink of a recession. You should see the Dow Jones. It was down 600 points this morning. That was after it was down 500 points yesterday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is plummeting. Stocks are plummeting. Why are stocks plummeting? Because there's no consumer confidence. Why is there no consumer confidence? Because the media is misreporting that Kamala Harris has an opportunity and a chance to bite into Donald Trump's lead and win this election. Think about that. Joe Biden steps away. Kamala Harris becomes the candidate. She goes out. She does some speeches. She does one speech over and over and over again.
You all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
And she avoids answering any tough questions. She avoids any opportunities to sit down with any journalists, and they're keeping this kind of pristine glow about her. And all of a sudden, she's on TikTok, and people are excited, and the drag queens are out there retweeting her, and so she rises. And then the polls come out. Oh, Kamala Harris is doing better than Joe Biden. Kamala Harris is gaining on Donald Trump. Could she be the next president? You have the podcasters all screaming and yelling about it. All of a sudden, consumers are saying, wait a minute, Kamala Harris could be president, and the stock market plummets. And that's exactly where we are. The stock market plummets because we have been convinced, or we're trying to be sold on this idea of President Kamala Harris. And nobody wants that. And you can tell because, well, we're on the brink of a recession.
My goodness, if you get 3 consecutive monthly readings on job gains that are less than 125,000, we only had 114,000 for the month of July, I'm beginning to smell a recession coming into view if that's the case.
You can see in that clip, 467 points was where the Dow was down. It's down even farther now. And that is all because the media is trying to hype this idea of Kamala Harris taking over.
We have strong reason to be worried about the sustainability of corporate profits looking ahead.
And if the corporate profits are not sustainable, that means that there's going to be more layoffs. That means that more people are going to get fired. That means that prices are going to continue to rise. That means that you're not going to be able to afford more stuff. And all of this is avoidable. And all of this could be easily remedied just by casting the vote, your vote for the right person. When Donald Trump got shot, when the assassination attempt happened, and the RNC was going on live, when everybody thought, man, Donald Trump is a shoo-in. He survived an assassination attempt. He was hand-chosen by God to be president of the United States. God turned his head so that he wouldn't take that bullet. Then at the RNC, it was this massive, massive feeling of joy and hope for the future and overwhelm. And people were ecstatic. And Donald Trump was almost being anointed there as the next president of the United States. When all of that happened, guess what? The stock market was fantastic. Stocks were going up. Bitcoin was going up. No one had any issues at all. Now, all of a sudden, Kamala Harris comes on the scene. People are saying, you know what, I may actually vote for her. And the economy's going right into the toilet. Nobody wants Kamala Harris to be president. And it doesn't matter what they tell the pollster. It doesn't matter what they say on the internet or on TikTok or what they retweet. None of that matters. What's going to tell you what the country really thinks about Kamala Harris is that stock ticker that continues to go down, down, and down. And that is all you really need to be concerned about. Well, that and saying Merry Christmas.
You all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
Hang on, wrong button. Where's Kamala berating me about Christmas?
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
That was it. Speaking of berating people for saying Merry Christmas, and speaking of Merry Christmas, I wanted to take a moment to make an announcement. Because I have been teasing now for a few days that we are bringing back Katriot merchandise and Mark Kaye Saves the Republic merchandise at the Mark Kaye shop. And I said on Friday, which would be today, we are going to be relaunching our internet store. Well, I'm a man of my word. And today, this morning, we relaunched our internet store. A lot of you have already visited it. A lot of you on the Katriot network have already received the email or the message that the store is up, that there's new merchandise ready to go. All you have to do is go there and, buy it quick before the economy gets even worse. And there's a couple of things I want to share with you kind of what we did. The first thing we did was we recreated our Katriot gear. For those of you that know, we had Katriot merchandise and Katriot paraphernalia, t-shirts and hats and hoodies, and they said Katriots. And a lot of people pointed out to me, I love the Katriots. I love that idea. I love being a Katriot. And we have so many who are dedicated to the cause, saving the Republic, having fun doing it, liberty loving, freedom defending people just like you, who tune in every day and watch our videos and listen to all of our podcasts. And we appreciate all of you. But somebody pointed out to me, it says Katriots and it sounds like a team, like Patriots or Jaguars or any of the Chargers, any of those. And they said, that's nice and all that, but I'd kind of like one that says Katriot, like I'm a proud Katriot, like a label almost, like I am a Katriot. Not Katriots, which was the plural. So we changed it a little bit, and we have new Katriot gear, and we have men's shirts, the official t-shirt, women's shirts, we have hoodies, we've got the tank tops for those of you that like to show off your guns, and they all say Katriot, and they're available now at markkaysshop.com. markkaysshop.com. Now, also, since this is Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, we've created a whole new line of merchandise for Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, and it's our official logo on a bright white clean t-shirt, a big hoodie. We brought back our caprins because I know a lot of people are we have a lot of people who spend time in the kitchen or cleaning their guns or whatever, and they love caprins. So we created some Mark Kaye Saves the Republic caprins as well. And you can wear I have several in my house. They do come in handy. The mug that I use for my, I've been doing these little morning TikToks with my coffee. And people have been clamoring for the mug. We have that. We have stickers. We have tank tops again, because there are some people that like to work out. I'm not one of them, but there are people like that. We have the zip up hoodie, which I ordered one for myself because it's pretty fly. Then there was something else, and I want to share this with you because I was at the RNC. I was at the RNC for the entire week, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. It was the best RNC I've ever been to. It was one of the best conventions or conglomerations or grouping of conservatives or Americans really I've ever been to. It was so positive. It was so patriotic. It was so invigorating. It was so full of hope. It was so amazing. Everyone there was just of like mind and like attitude and knew what our job was and felt confident that we could get it done. Donald Trump was there every single night, sitting in the arena, watching all of his friends and family and supporters say such wonderful things about him and his leadership and pleading with America and making the case for America to bring Donald Trump back to the White House, because that's what we need. We need Donald Trump back in the White House. We need an America First president. We need someone who's going to make America great again, plain and simple. And it was to be on the floor and to hobnob with Vivek and Russell Brand was there, and our good friend Kat Kamak and Congressman Mike Waltz, all of these people that showed up. It was so invigorating. And one of the things that really struck me was a quote that Donald Trump had in his speech on Thursday night, packed into the arena on the floor. I stood there for at what seemed like hours because, standing room only. And I stood there and I watched Donald Trump. I watched Dana White come out first. And of course, Eric came out and spoke. It was all great speeches. But Donald Trump came out there and he spoke for 93 minutes. And in the 92nd minute of his 93-minute speech, he said something about the United States of America. And I heard it And I immediately thought to myself, that is a fantastic quote. Gave me chills, really. Gave me chills. I said, that's a fantastic quote. And B, I said, when I relaunch the Mark Kaye shop, I am going to put that quote on a t-shirt. And this was the quote.
America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before.
And you can hear the reaction was incredible. And it was this incredible quote. It was just this amazing quote that Donald Trump had, and I remembered it, and I thought to myself, that's the quote of the entire RNC. America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before. And I said, I am going to, when I relaunch the Mark Kaye shop, put that quote on a t-shirt. So I'm very excited to announce that it took some finagling because it's a big, long quote, but we did it. And we have a brand new Brighter Future collection. It's Donald Trump's iconic quote from the RNC, his iconic speech. America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before. Trump 2024. And we've put that on t-shirts. We put it on hoodies. We put it on a capron. We have these really cool, there's a terry cloth women's hoodie, which just looks really comfortable. I kind of wish I'd get one for myself, but it's pink. So I don't want it. There's a camo t-shirt where we put it on the back. It's really, to me, signifies what this election is all about, what we can hope for from Donald Trump in the future, and what we all need and what we all want, and what this is really what the election's about. This election is about having an angry Karen who's going to tell you not to say Merry Christmas.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Or a seasoned leader who's going to reignite America's greatness.
America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before.
I still get chills. I still remember, I will always remember, of course, where I was, but I remember hearing that quote for the very first time live at the Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it was incredible. Anyway, listen, if you want to get any of the Mark Kaye Show merchandise, if you want to get your Katriot gear, if you want to get a Mark Kaye Saves the Republic shirt or hoodie, brand new, never before been offered. If you want one of the Brighter Collection Future shirts that we just talked about, we have a signature line of Mark Kaye merchandise as well with my signature on it. Unique items that I chose that you can't find anywhere else. A rope ball cap, a blue star shirt. There's a safety orange zip up hoodie. And then, of course, we brought back our MAGA King merchandise because I got to tell you, I wore my MAGA King sweatshirt a couple days during the convention, and holy smokes, I was never more popular than the day I wore my MAGA King sweatshirt. So if you're interested, go to Mark Kaye Shop, MARKKAYE shop. I put the link in the description and the bio of all these videos and the podcast and everything today. And fun fact, because of Kamala Harris, in honor of Christmas-hating Karen Kamala Harris, Ebenezer Harris, we've created a coupon code. You can save 10% today by typing in Merry Christmas at checkout. Whatever you put in your cart, the whole entire order, 10% off just by using coupon code Merry Christmas.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
That's right, 10% off everything you purchase at markkaysshop.com just by using coupon code Merry Christmas. I know I talked a lot about that, but like I said, I was really excited to share that with you today. And I was really excited about all of the things. That we're now able to offer you. And that quote, again, is just, it's one of the best quotes ever.
America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before.
Chills. All right, speaking of Donald Trump, he was on with Maria Bartiromo this morning, and he said a couple things that I thought were interesting. The first thing he said was, when he's president, there will be no more men in women's sports.
They want to have men playing in women's sports. You saw the boxer today, the Italian female boxer, just saying, I can't be two shots. She pulled away. She said, I can't fight this.
40 seconds in.
Well, she got hit with 2 jabs, and a jab is not supposed to be that bad. I mean, I love the stuff, but I'm not used to taking jabs. It's not my thing, but I will tell you, 2 jabs, and she said, no more, I don't want, because she got hit so hard. She said, I've never been hit like that before. And, I always use weightlifting as the ultimate, but I think that fight may be, there will be no men playing in women's sports when we're elected.
I mean, that's a great logo. That's a great line. There will be no men playing in women's sports when we're elected. But think about the world we live in where that even has to be a promise. I mean, there will be, take it like 50 years ago. Let's see. Let me do the math quickly. It's 2024. So 50 years ago was like 1976. All right. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm going to be 50 this year. So it was 1974. Let me try that. Math was never my thing. So 1974, I was born. Here, what happened? What was going on in 1974? Well, the Vietnam War was kind of wrapping up. We just had Richard Nixon quit his job. We had Gerald Ford in office. All right, so it was a tumultuous time, and we needed to restore honor and dignity to the presidency, yada, yada. We needed to bring our troops home. We were on the verge of an energy crisis. That's what was going to happen with Gerald Ford. Look at where we are now. Look at what one of the big issues is. We need a president who's going to keep men from dressing up like women and punching them in the face in an international arena. How did we get to this place in time? How is it that now we have a presidential candidate saying, yes, I'm going to secure the border. Yes, I'm going to fix the economy. Yes, I'm going to rebuild our military. Yes, we're going to end the wars in Ukraine. We're going to end the wars in Israel and Gaza. We're going to end the wars around the country. We are going to make this around the world. We are going to make this world safe again. We're going to make this country rich again. We're going to drill for oil so we're no longer dependent on communists for our oil and terrorists for our oil. And not only that, we're going to be energy independent, and we're going to have a surplus that we can then sell to our allies, and we won't have to be furnishing or funding Iranian terrorists who then shoot our allies and ourselves all over the country. That's the one part of his philosophy. But then he's also got to say, oh, and by the way, we're not going to let boys dress up like girls and punch them in the face at the Olympics. It's a really bizarre place where we are. But then he said something else too about the internet and about the media and about media censorship, because you may remember there was some controversy regarding the iconic photo. You know, the photo, Donald Trump, fist in the air, fight, blood on his face, American flag in the background, just seconds after he was shot in the ear by an assassin, just seconds after he lived through an assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. He fell to the ground, bloodied. The Secret Service dragged him up. He threw his fist in the air and yelled, fight, and they took a photo. And Mark Zuckerberg had this to say about it.
And seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life.
It's one of the most badass things any of us have seen in our lives. I mean, really, if you're making a list of the most badass things that you've seen, that's got to be top 3, top 2. For me, I would probably agree with Mark. That's probably the most badass thing I've ever seen anyone do in my life. 78 years old? Come on. I don't know that I would do that now when I'm 49. But Mark Zuckerberg was right. That's why everyone was shocked to learn that just days later, days after that event happened, that photo, that iconic photo that Mark Zuckerberg said was one of the most badass things he'd ever seen, people were shocked to find out that photo was being censored by Facebook, that they said that it had been doctored and altered and they were taking it down. People were shocked to learn that image of Donald Trump, which many people believed just lit a fire in the conservative base. I mean, there was already one that a lot of people thought would be the emblem and the image of this election. One that a lot of people thought would culminate Donald Trump's place in history was being shadow banned on Facebook and on Google and probably other places that we don't even know about. Well, Donald Trump was on with Maria Bartiromo, as we just pointed out, and he mentioned that he got a phone call from Mark Zuckerberg, who apologized for what happened with his photo.
Said that the picture wasn't altered. At first they said it was altered, and then they said no, it was a bug.
So
it was a mistake.
Mark Zuckerberg,
my point is these companies would not allow any information out about what happened.
So Mark Zuckerberg called me. First of all, he called me a few times. He called me after the event, and he said that was really amazing. It was very brave, and And he actually announced he's not going to support a Democrat because he can't, because he respected me for what I did that day. I think what I did maybe was to me, it was a normal response. But I was called by Mark Zuckerberg yesterday, the day before, on this same subject. And he actually apologized. He said they made a mistake, et cetera, and they're correcting the mistake. Google, nobody called from Google.
Nobody called from Google, by the way. Nobody called from Google, but Mark Zuckerberg called. I mean, and not only did he apologize, he told Donald Trump, I'm not going to be supporting a Democrat. I can't after what they did. If that's true, which I imagine it is, because Donald Trump tends not to, he likes to tell people a lot about his personal phone conversations. But he says, Mark Zuckerberg called me and said, I'm sorry for what happened. I'm sorry that the photo was taken down. And by the way, I'm not supporting a Democrat because of what they did. Nobody from Google called, but Mark Zuckerberg did. That's interesting to me because Mark Zuckerberg's still censoring my information. So, hey, Zuckerberg, if you're not supporting the Democrats, maybe you could have my videos promoted instead of shadow banned. That would be very helpful. But I digress. That's not at all the issue. The issue is that Mark Zuckerberg may or may not be coming around. Maybe Donald Trump in his what he said was a natural response to stand up and put your fist in the air and yell fight, fight, fight with the blood on your face, that badass photo. Maybe that changed Mark Zuckerberg's mind. Maybe it melted his heart. And maybe, just maybe, Mark Zuckerberg said, you know what? Donald Trump's probably, what's more badass? Donald Trump with his fist in the air or Kamala Harris?
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Yeah, it's like badass or dumbass. I'm sorry, I was very rude. But it just sometimes things pop into my head, but it doesn't matter. He's not supporting the Democrat. He's not supporting a Democrat, and he apologized for the photo. And now, if you post that photo on Facebook, apparently it won't be taken down or marked as altered or shadow banned or anything else like that. Google, not so much. Donald Trump didn't get a phone call from Google, and in ignoring Donald Trump's complaints or ignoring the fact that Donald Trump's assassination attempt is being shadow banned in Google search, it may be detrimental to the future of Google, especially if Donald Trump wins the election. And Donald Trump alluded to that.
Google has been very bad. They've been very irresponsible. And I have a feeling that Google is going to be close to shutdown because I don't think Congress is going to take it. I really don't think so. Google has to be careful. Now, I will say this. I believe Mark Zuckerberg, he called me a lot. They are working, and I think they fixed it.
But
and he's not doing what he did 4 years ago with the $500 million, I don't believe.
I mean, that's a nice thing, too. Yeah, $500 million he gave to, what was that Analytica company in Great Britain. He was spending money in all these swing states like Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania, spending money on ads and internet ads to try to sway the election one way or the other. That was a huge issue in the election in 2020, was Facebook's interference and Facebook's investment into all things Biden and into Democrat super PACs and these kind of in-kind donations that he made. Because look, if you're censoring Republican voices and conservative voices, that is a de facto bolstering of Democrat voices. If I'm posting stuff about why Kamala Harris is bad and Donald Trump is good, and that's being shadow banned or suppressed, but everyone else who's posting, oh my gosh, Kamala Brat Summer, yay, she's amazing, she's going to save us all, Donald Trump is a racist, that stuff gets promoted. That is an in-kind de facto donation to the Joe Biden campaign, which has never been established or has never been itemized or has never been declared anywhere. And thankfully, hopefully, Mark Zuckerberg's not doing that if we take him at his word. I think if he got on the phone with Donald Trump and said that kind of stuff, he better not do it and I think that that's telling. I think that's another litmus test. I think that is another, I guess you would say, what do you call it? Like an oracle. I don't want to call Mark Zuckerberg an oracle, but it may be something that we need to pay attention to because nobody has more information about human behavior than Facebook and Google. They don't have the most amount of data accumulated by any organization in this world, other than maybe the federal government, is Facebook and Google. And a lot of the information the government has is because they forced Facebook and Google to give it to them. But when you look at the the pages and the photos and the comments you make and the information that you hand over freely to Google, through Facebook, through Instagram, through all of these, through your WhatsApp, whatever it is, YouTube. I mean, they're all the same two companies. All the information, all the data, they know what you're watching. When you go, I went to YouTube the other day because I needed to find a video that I watched like 3 weeks ago, and I went into my history, and lo and behold, I found it. Because YouTube knows everything I do. They know everything I watch. They know how long I watch it. They know what I rewatch. They know what I pause. They know what I swipe away from. They feed me more videos just like the ones that I like, so I continue to watch. They've accumulated so much data on me, Mark Kaye, that they could basically, they know more about me probably than I do. Facebook's the same exact way. And if Mark Zuckerberg says, I'm not going to support a Democrat, I respect you, and I'm going to stop the suppression of that photo, and I apologize for it. That leads me to believe that Mark Zuckerberg has been looking at the data and the human behavior and the information that Facebook has accumulated. And he may sense that the majority of the people in the United States of America are pro-Trump, are leaning toward Trump, do not like Kamala Harris. As we learned, as we all know, they don't like the Democrat policies. They don't feel safe. They don't like the open border. They see Donald Trump as the only person who can put us right back on track, the only person who can set us straight, the only person who can save America and make our future bigger, better, brighter, strong.
America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before.
Yeah. And on the flip side, Google probably sees the same thing happening with their algorithm. Probably Google looks at it and goes, man, all these people are searching for Donald Trump. All these people are looking at that photo. All these people are writing stuff that they're reading your Gmails, and they're seeing how you're emailing back and forth with your friends about how you're supporting Donald Trump and you hate Joe Biden and all this stuff. And they panic. And so they suppress the information. I would think that Mark Zuckerberg calling Donald Trump and apologizing is a huge red flag for the blue states. It's a huge red flag for the Democrat Party. These are the people that know exactly what you're thinking, probably before you do. And I would pay attention. Also, if you're Google, I wouldn't annoy Donald Trump if you believe he's going to be the next president of the United States, because if Donald Trump gets back into office, or when Donald Trump gets back into office, there is going to be a reckoning. There is going to be a huge shift in the way social media censorship works. We've seen it already. We know that Donald Trump, doesn't want to interfere with private companies because he is a capitalist. He's a laissez-faire. He's a hands-off guy. He's a states' rights guy. And he's like, look, I don't want any government intervention. We are small government. But he also doesn't want companies taking advantage of people. And he has a lot of things at his disposal. He alluded to it in that clip. Listen.
Google has been very bad. They've been very irresponsible. And I have a feeling that Google is going to be close to shutdown, because I don't think Congress is going to take it. I really don't think so. Google has to be careful. Now, I will say this. I believe Mark Zuckerberg. He called me a lot.
Okay. For those of you that aren't following along, that was Donald Trump openly threatening Google, saying, if you don't stop the censorship of conservatives, if you don't stop playing politics with your search algorithm, if you don't stop suppressing information, if you don't stop leaning into the Democrats or treating Republicans unfairly, if you don't stop manipulating information that people are looking for in order to benefit your friends in the White House, if you don't stop doing that, you're going to be in big trouble. You're going to be probably shut down because Congress isn't going to take it. Donald Trump is he fired a shot across the bow of Alphabet. And he said, look, guys, here's the deal. I'm coming back to the White House. I'm coming back to power. If you keep this stuff up, there's going to be a reckoning. Congress, the Senate, the FTC, the SEC, I don't care who he's going to get every organization he can to keep Google and Alphabet and everybody else in Silicon Valley wrapped up for 4 years at minimum. And he's going to try to restrict everything they can. He's going to do whatever it takes to fight back against an opponent who is unfairly treating him and manipulating information and suppressing it to alter the course of American history. He didn't say that openly, but that's what it sounded like to me. Google's acting very bad. If they don't watch out, they could find themselves shut down. Mark Zuckerberg, on the other hand, is playing ball. Mark Zuckerberg called me. He called me, he apologized, and he told me he's not supporting any Democrats. Mark Zuckerberg, you got something a little brown on your nose, buddy.
And seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life.
Mark Zuckerberg gets it. He knows. He knows. Hey, listen, the Mark Kaye shop is open. It's markkshop.com. markkshop.com. I see a lot of people purchasing stuff already. Thank you. Fantastic. We're going to ship it out ASAP. Oh, it looks like the MAGA King woman's hoodie is going out to Terry Johnson in Florida. Congratulations. Don't forget your discount. She used the discount code. She saved a ton of money. The discount is Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas is the discount.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
And that'll save you 10% on your entire order. So if you're like, you know what? I think I'd like a Patriot shirt, and then maybe I'll get one for my wife. And then, I want one of these Mark Kaye Show Saves the Republic hoodies because they're so comfy and cool looking. And I have to get one of these Brighter Future Collection Donald Trump quote shirts for the entire family. And then, and MAGA King. There's a baby onesie, by the way, because we're the family focused side over here. So we have a lot of people procreating. Anyway, we have a baby onesie, the MAGA King baby onesie in a myriad of fashion colors. So if you want the green one or the pink one or the blue one, there's a white one. There's even a black one if you want like a kind of cool looking baby onesie with the MAGA King logo. All of that, just load up your cart and then use Merry Christmas at checkout. Use Merry Christmas at checkout. Oh, look, Douglas just purchased the Brighter Future camo tee. That's fantastic. Yeah, if you go to the website, by the way, you can see in the corner, it pops up who buys what. April just bought a MAGA King men's tank. Thank you, April. And again, most importantly, we want you to save a little bit of money because, well, the economy sucks. Thanks, Joe Biden. And it's not getting any better. We're on I smell recession. Yeah, that's exactly what that smells like. So go and make sure you use that Merry Christmas 10% off coupon code and load up on Mark Kaye Show merch at markkshop.com. markkayeshop.com. markkshop.com. We'll keep that coupon code up for the entire weekend. So if you're like, I'm going to do it when I get home, or I'm going to wake up tomorrow, or it's payday, whatever, you've got Merry Christmas all weekend long through Sunday night. So definitely take some time this weekend and get yourself some great Mark Kaye Show merch. Listen, thank you so much for listening, everybody, because this has been, again, one of the fastest weeks in the history of my life. I woke up on Monday and I was like, okay, week 3 since we've been back, and we've got a lot to cover. Week 3, and we've got to go whole hog into Kamala Harris. And I blinked my eyes literally, and it became Friday. And people are downloading our podcast in record numbers like never before. We appreciate all of you who subscribe to the podcast. People are watching us on Rumble and YouTube and X like never before. And we appreciate all of you who've subscribed to Rumble and YouTube and X. And people are throwing us super chats. They're just throwing money at us. They're commenting with, you know what? And I haven't really finished my whole setup here, so I only have the one computer screen. But what I'm going to do over the weekend is I'm going to set up a second computer because I know everybody's commenting. I know people have a lot of great stuff to say, and you want to be a part of the show and you want to contribute. And I know that when you send a super chat or a Rumble rant, or you're subscribing, or you're paying for whatever it is you want to get out there, you deserve to be recognized. But I just haven't had the opportunity to set up all my equipment. So I'll get a second screen in here, and I'll be able, hopefully, knock on wood, by Monday to be able to monitor your comments during the show and read and interact with you during the show, which I'm really excited about. But like I said, thank you for everything. It's been such a fantastic week, and we got more time to go. As Joe Biden said, he's still around. We're stuck with him for like 90 more days.
There's no way out. You're stuck with me as president for a while, kid. There's no way out, okay? You got me for at least another 100 or 90 days or so.
And we want to make sure that after that 100 days, Joe Biden is not the president. We want to make sure that Kamala Harris is not the president. We want to make sure that we have a president who is going to make sure that our future is...
America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before.
Yeah, because that's the only way, folks, that we are going to save the Republic. Right? Okay, good. Listen, that was fun. I'm going to go get some lunch, post the podcast, and I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. I'll see you Monday.